It is time for the second appearance from our friend Frankie Corrado. Therefore, since Frankie has been sitting over on that side of the set for the entire show, I'm going to walk over to him. It's our walkover segment. Gets the legs moving, gets the blood flowing a little bit. Here's Frankie. What have you been doing since I've been doing the rest of the show?
I was texting you mostly. I was surprised you didn't answer me.
I try to focus as best I can.
It's been a good show.
Thank
Doing
you.
a great job.
Thank you. I really feel good about it. First one of the week, so sometimes that's a little bumpy, but I think we've been doing pretty well. Hey, I thought you said something very interesting on, as we call it, SportsCenter Regular.
Yes.
On the weekend, you said that if Auston Matthews gets to 70 goals, seems like a definite possibility at this point, that you feel he should win the Hart Trophy. Now, let's talk about a counterpoint to that. Are goals enough? He's 23 points behind Nikita Kucherov. He's 20 points behind Nathan MacKinnon. Connor McDavid is obviously coming on. So he's currently fourth in terms of FanDuel odds to win the Hart. Make your case why he should win it.
Okay, as far as the odds go, if he gets to 65 goals and he has, 6 games left in the regular season, I would imagine the odds are going to change drastically because he has a very good chance of hitting 70. There's a few things, okay? If someone gets 150 points, yes, there's obviously going to be many compelling cases to be had as far as who should win the Hart Trophy. My main point is, if he won the Hart at 60 goals and he scores 70 and he outdoes himself by 10 goals, how is that not gaining more attention for being the most valuable player in the league?
Right.
When you think about what he's done for the team he plays on, 6 hat tricks this season, that's basically 6 games that he won the team. I know the Anaheim game, it doesn't matter if Matthews gets that hat trick,
right,
but he means just as much to the Leafs as the other players do to their teams. And you're also going to have to look at, okay, what percentage of goals for the team is that player specifically contributing to? And right now that would be Nikita Kucherov, who would have the edge there by a pretty significant margin. So there's going to be a compelling case to be made. My point is, if he outdoes himself by 10 goals, and who knows, maybe no one else hits 50 goals this year. Maybe it's Matthews at 70 and the next best guy is 49. What are we talking about? How is it not in the running to win the Hart, and how is there not a very compelling case there for him to be the MVP?
And you can make the argument that they've needed him this year more than ever with their shaky goaltending situation.
The hypothetical thing, we can do that back and forth, right? We can do it for Matthews. What if he scores 75? We could do it for Kucherov. What if he gets 150 points and he outdoes his best season by, 20-something points? There's so many compelling cases to be made. But this year, more than any, I feel like there's going to be multiple, legitimate candidates that deserve to win the Hart, and ultimately only one person can win it.
I mentioned the shaky goaltending situation. Last week on Insider Trading, we heard Marc-Andre Fleury would consider a trade to Toronto if the Wild fall out of contention by the deadline. We also heard the insiders mention Colorado, which is no surprise. They've been mentioned and linked to Fleury all year. And then the Carolina Hurricanes, whose goaltending situation is also pretty shaky. But going back to the Leafs, is Marc-Andre Fleury a move they should be considering?
No, because they only have so much capital at their disposal to make moves to better their team, and those assets are going to be better utilized on the back end.
Fair enough.
And so you're going to bring in Marc-Andre Fleury. Why? Because you already have Samsonov, who's played much better. Joseph Woll's coming back at some point. Martin Jones has shown that he's a more than capable organizational number 3. So if you only have so many assets to go out and spend, keep in mind they don't have a second-round pick. I don't know. You're going to trade a prospect to bring in another goalie when you have basically lateral moves available within your own organization.
Yeah.
Listen, I think it's, Marc-Andre Fleury would want to be in a situation where he has a chance to win, where he has a chance to play, and he has game left, but it doesn't make sense in Toronto because it would just be a lateral move compared to what they already have.
Well, and if we stick with goaltending, we just talked to Salim Valji about Jake Markstrom earlier in the show. The top of the goalie market at this point, it's Markstrom and it's UC Saros. And those are two awesome goaltenders. If you had your choice, and this is a tough one to me, but if you had your choice, who'd you be most interested in?
Yeah, it's a tough one because they're both very good and they've been very good for a long time. But if I had my choice, it would be Jacob Markstrom. And I think there's 2 parts to that. One, I played with Jacob Markstrom. I understand the individual. He's fiery, he's competitive. And I think for me, I'm probably a little more biased based on the fact that I've gotten to see that up close and personal. Now, UC Saros, you could make the case that he's been one of the most consistent goaltenders in the NHL for years now, and that's a very compelling argument as well. The other thing I'll come back to is I just like, and our buddy Jeff O'Neill says this all the time, I just like when the guy's 6'6" in net. Like, I just like he's a monster in the net. So at least if the game is maybe tailing off a little bit, like he turns into this kind of blocker, like it's a big nemesis in net, if you want to call it that.
It turns into Sean Burke.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's your falling back point. It's just the guy's a monster in the net. So for me, it's like Markstrom has found his game this year. That fiery edge is back, and he's big. And there's something about that guy in the net that makes me feel comfortable.
Speaking of Jeff O'Neill, he and I have a mutual admiration for Adam Lowry, and Adam Lowry is posting on his Instagram today that we're rolling now, boys, and that's because the Jets, with a very hard-fought, big win over the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday, they beat the Canucks 4-2. These are the two teams that have made the biggest trades so far, Frankie, as you know. What did that win by the Jets Saturday tell you about both these teams?
Well, it felt like a playoff game, and for the Jets, if they were the ones that were able to handle the ups and downs and the physicality of that game better than the Canucks. And I thought the Canucks got wrapped up in it, where Winnipeg was initiating a lot of the physicality and Vancouver was retaliating a lot. And then when Vancouver got running around and they got into some penalty trouble, it was the Jets' best players that broke through. They get 2 power play goals, which is very important for that team because the power play's been pedestrian at times this year. The offense has been pedestrian. And when Vancouver got caught up in all of that, it gave the Jets just enough of an opening for them to take away that game. And sometimes that's all you need. And especially when it comes to playoff type games where it's such a slim margin between winning and losing, I thought the Jets walked that line better than the Canucks did.
We were talking about the Penguins earlier in the show, and Jake Gensel's name has been floated out there for a long time now. Now he's injured. However, as the insiders pointed out, that doesn't take him off the trade bait board by any stretch of the imagination. But there's been a lot of talks linking the Oilers to Gensel. Should they be looking elsewhere if they're concerned at all about Gensel's ability to come back and play?
I wouldn't be worried about his ability to come back and play. The thing I would be worried about if you're Edmonton specifically and you're going to try and acquire Jake Gensel is it's probably going to be a pretty substantial package to bring him in. I don't know exactly. Like, that's a dregs question, but it's going to be like, is it a first-round pick plus a really good prospect plus another? I don't know. But regardless, if you're going to spend that much to go out and acquire him, is he playing on your first power play unit in Edmonton?
Good question.
Probably not.
Yeah, might not
right?
be.
So you're gonna spend all those assets. You're gonna use them to your full capability. Instead, he's gonna play 15 seconds on a second unit. Where, what I would say is, you probably hit someone on the secondary market who costs you a draft pick, doesn't cost you a prospect. He's expected to play on the second power play unit anyways because he's not even in the conversation for knocking someone off the first unit. And it's secondary scoring, maybe someone who gives you something more at 5-on-5. Not more than Gensel, but gives you more than what you have.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, the value between those two deals might be better off just hitting someone on the secondary market because the package to acquire Gensel, if you don't utilize him to his fullest extent, you're not going to get the full value there.
Tell me you're talking about Jordan Eberle without telling me you're talking about Jordan Eberle.
Could be Jordan Eberle. Could be Vladimir Tarasenko.
I like that.
Right? Like, there's other players available that should be able to. And the thing about Edmonton is you're going to go into a situation where...
Oh, we lost some light there.
That was cool.
That light just burned right out on us. That's wild.
I think, was that Eberle?
Yeah, that was probably Ebbs.
I think it was Tarasenko.
It's probably Eberle because I always give him a hard time for not inviting me to his wedding. So
you know who it was?
Yeah.
It was the Edmonton Oilers.
That's
because
possible.
they don't like that we're talking about that.
That's right.
But with the Oilers, like, if you're a player going into that situation, you're going into you just need to be a guy. You don't need to be the guy. And the leadership group is established. There's a mission in place. They've established something within that group that seems a little bit different this year. You just need to slide in and fit in and play your game. You don't have to do anything more than that.
Finally, the NHL announces Sunday the All-Star Game is going to Long Island in 2026, right before the NHL returns to the Olympics in Milan. What do you? This seems like a lot. A lot of stuff happening. A lot of star players expected to be in an All-Star Game and then expecting to fly to Europe to play in the Olympics soon.
They should do, instead of an All-Star Game, they should do the non-star game. All the guys that don't really play a lot get together and see what they can do in the skills competition. Like, let's see the guy who plays, every third night and play 7 minutes a night. And let's see what his fastest lap is.
I love it.
Right? Like that's the way to do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, in the NHL, you got 2 years here to figure it out.
The non-star game.
Yeah. Let's consult this guy, and we're gonna get this light fixed.
I think it was Lou Lamoriello, now that I think of it.
It's very possible that Lou has a handle on our entire lighting grid here. We're going to work on it. We'll call Lou. And when we return, we've got the juiciest moments of the week. And Frankie's going to help me with that as long as we can get the lights fixed.